You know that person who goes quiet in the middle of a loud conversation. The one everyone assumes isn't paying attention. They're paying attention to everything. And that's the problem. There's a type of person who experiences life differently. Not better, not worse. Just deeper. They're the ones who can't just watch a sunset, they have to understand why it moves them. They can't just have a conversation, they need to know what you really meant. They're processing 10 layers while everyone else is on layer 1. These are the deep thinkers, and if you're one of them, you already know. It's exhausting. But here's what most people don't understand. Deep thinking isn't a choice. It's not something you turn on and off like a switch. It's more like breathing underwater. Everyone else is walking on the beach, and you're down there, 10 feet below the surface, wondering why nobody else wants to see what's down here. Let me ask you something. Have you ever had a conversation that felt like it was happening in 2 different worlds? They're talking about what happened. You're talking about why it happened, what it means, what it says about human nature, where it all leads. And somewhere in the middle, you realize they just wanted to talk about what happened. That's the life of a deep thinker, the brain that never stops. Here's the thing about deep thinkers. Their brains don't have an off switch. Scientists have actually studied this. There's a network in your brain called the default mode network. For most people, it activates when they're daydreaming or zoning out. For deep thinkers, it never really stops. It's like having 10 browser tabs open in your mind at all times, and they're all playing different videos. You see a tree, and suddenly you're thinking about growth. Growth makes you think about change. Change makes you think about time. Time makes you think about mortality. And now you're having an existential crisis because you looked at a tree. Sound familiar? Deep thinkers don't just see what's in front of them. They see what it connects to what it meant. What it could mean. What it meant 5 years ago. It's like their mind is constantly drawing a map of invisible connections that nobody else can see. But here's where it gets tricky. While everyone else is living in the moment, deep thinkers are living in every moment simultaneously. The past, the present, the future, the alternate reality where they said something different all at once. It's not overthinking. It's not anxiety. It's just how their mind works. Except when it is anxiety. Because let's be real, Wayne, you can see every possible outcome, every potential meaning, every hidden layer. Sometimes you see problems that don't exist yet. The curse of seeing too much. You ever replay a conversation from 3 years ago? Not because it was traumatic, not because you're stuck, but because you finally understood what the other person meant. And now you're annoyed you didn't see it then. Deep thinkers do this constantly. They have what psychologists call high metacognition, basically. They think about their thinking. Most people think. Deep thinkers watch themselves think, analyze why they're thinking it, question if they should be thinking it, and then think about whether they're thinking about it too much. It's like being the director and the actor in your own mind at the same time. And here's the brutal part. This makes them incredibly self-aware. But self-awareness without self-compassion, that's just so. Because when you can see every flaw, every contradiction, every moment you could have done better, you see them all in 4,000. Deep thinkers don't just make mistakes, they dissect them. They replay them from every angle. They write entire dissertations in their head about why they said yeah instead of yes in a text message from last Tuesday. Is that ridiculous? Absolutely. Can they stop? No. Because to them, everything means something. That's not drama, that's just how they experience reality. A simple okay from you isn't just okay. It's okay with a period, which is different from okay with an exclamation point, which is different from just okay, which means you're annoyed, obviously. They're not paranoid. They're just reading data everyone else ignores. The loneliness of depth. Here's what nobody tells you about being a deep thinker. It's lonely. Not lonely like I have no friends lonely. Lonely like nobody wants to talk about what I want to talk about. Lonely. Small talk. Feels like torture. Not because deep thinkers think they're better than it, they just can't do it. Their brain won't let them. You ask them, how's the weather? And they're thinking about climate patterns, the subjectivity of comfort, why humans default to weather as a conversation starter, whether small talk is a social construct we should abandon. And by the time they've thought all that, the conversation moved on, so they learn to stay quiet. They smile, they nod, They say the normal things, but inside, they're screaming because nobody's talking about anything real. Nobody wants to discuss why we're all just pretending life makes sense. Nobody wants to question the systems we follow blindly. Nobody wants to sit in the discomfort of not knowing, except other deep thinkers. And when a deep thinker finds another deep thinker, it's like finding water in a desert. Suddenly, someone gets it. Someone wants to dive deep. Someone doesn't think they're weird for caring about things that don't matter. But here's the catch. Deep thinkers are selective. They don't open up, they test you first. They watch how you respond to depth. They throw out a slightly too real comment and see if you engage or retreat. And if you retreat, they'll never try again. They'll just smile and nod and keep their depth to themselves. Because vulnerability for a deep thinker isn't just sharing feelings. It's sharing their entire internal universe. And if you don't handle that carefully, if you dismiss it or mock it or call them too intense, they won't show you again. They'll just go back to being the quiet one in the corner. Why deep thinkers struggle with just being, you know what's funny? Deep thinkers spend so much time analyzing life that they forget to live it. They can tell you exactly why a sunset is beautiful, the science of light refraction, the symbolism of endings and beginnings, the fleeting nature of beauty. But can they just enjoy it? Not really, because their brain is too busy explaining it to themselves. This is the paradox. Deep thinking gives you the ability to find meaning in everything, but meaning isn't the same as joy. Understanding isn't the same as experiencing. And sometimes, the deepest thinkers are the ones who've forgotten how to just feel. They intellectualize their emotions. I'm feeling anxious because my amygdala is overactive due to perceived threats that are actually just projections of past trauma, combined with future uncertainty. Cool analysis. But also, you're still anxious. There's a term in psychology, paralysis by analysis. Deep thinkers know it well. They think so much about doing something that they never actually do it. They consider every angle, every risk, every possible outcome until the moment passes. Should I text them? Well, if I text now, they might think I'm too eager. But if I wait too long, they might think I'm not interested. But maybe they're not interested, and I'm reading too much into it. But what if they are interested, and I'm self-sabotaging and they never send the text, the gift nobody asked for? Let me tell you something that might help. Being a deep thinker isn't a flaw. It's not something to fix. It's not a disorder, or a problem, or a thing you need to meditate away. It's a different operating system. Most people run on Windows. You're running on Linux. Neither is wrong, they just process differently. And yeah, your way is slower sometimes. It takes more energy. It crashes more often, but it also does things other systems can't. It sees connections others miss. It finds beauty in places others ignore. It asks questions that lead to breakthroughs. Every major shift in human history came from a deep thinker. Someone who couldn't just accept things as they were. Someone who asked, why? One too many times. Someone who saw the invisible threads connecting everything and pulled on them until something unraveled. Einstein, Marie Curie, Carl Jung, Virginia Woolf. They were all deep thinkers. And yeah, most of them struggled with the same things you do: loneliness, overthinking, feeling out of place in a world that rewards speed over depth. But they also changed the world. Because deep thinkers don't just see what is, they see what could be. When deep thinking becomes dangerous, okay, real talk for a second. Deep thinking can become a trap. When you can connect anything to anything, you can convince yourself of things that aren't true. You can read meaning into randomness. You can create patterns that don't exist. You can think yourself into corners where nothing makes sense anymore. This is when deep thinking crosses into rumination, the repetitive, obsessive focus on problems without solutions. It is like being stuck in a mental loop where your brain keeps presenting the same questions, but never accepts any answers. Why did they say it like that? What did I do wrong? Why am I like this? And the answers don't matter, because your brain will just ask again tomorrow. Here's the hard truth. Not everything has a deeper meaning. Sometimes people are just tired. Sometimes things just happen. Sometimes there is no hidden layer, it's exactly what it looks like. Deep thinkers struggle with this because their entire identity is built on finding depth. Accepting that something is shallow feels like giving up, but it's not. It's discernment. It's knowing when to dig and when to move on, because you can't excavate every moment of your life. Eventually, you have to just live it. The art of shallow waters, here's a skill every deep thinker needs to learn. How to be shallow on purpose, not fake, not dishonest, just lighter. How to have a conversation about nothing and enjoy it. How to watch a movie without analyzing every frame. How to eat food without thinking about the supply chain. How to exist without constantly asking why. This doesn't mean abandoning your depth. It means giving yourself permission to surface sometimes. To breathe. To let your brain rest. Because deep thinking is exhausting. And if you never come up for air, you'll drown in your own thoughts. The healthiest, deep thinkers learn to toggle. They can go deep when it matters, but they can also go shallow when they need to. They can have the philosophical conversation at 2 a.m. And they can also just laugh at a stupid joke without deconstructing why it's funny. Balance isn't betraying your nature. It's honoring it without letting it consume you. What deep thinkers need. If you're a deep thinker, here's what you need to hear. You're not broken. You're not too much. You're not overthinking, you're just thinking at a frequency most people do you want to operate on. But you do need to be careful, because your mind is powerful, and powerful things can destroy you if you don't learn to control them. You need boundaries with your own thoughts. You need to know when to engage with a question and when to say not. Today, you need people who get it, who don't make you feel crazy for caring about things that shouldn't matter. And most importantly, you need to stop apologizing for your depth. The world doesn't need more shallow. It needs more people who ask why, who see the layers, who refuse to accept things just because that's how they are. But you also need to remember, depth is a tool, not a prison. Use it when it serves you. Let it go when it doesn't. The final truth. Here's what I want you to understand. Deep thinkers exist because someone has to see what others miss. Someone has to ask the uncomfortable questions. Someone has to care about the invisible things, the feelings, the meanings, the connections that hold everything together. That someone is you. And yeah, it's hard. It's lonely sometimes. It's overwhelming. But it's also beautiful. Because while everyone else is skimming the surface of life, you're diving deep. You're finding pearls. You're discovering truths. You might not fit in at every party. You might go quiet when the conversation stays shallow. You might spend your life feeling like you're speaking a language nobody else understands. But every once in a while, you'll meet someone who speaks it too. And in that moment, all the loneliness will make sense. Because depth recognizes depth. And when it does, it's magic. So don't apologize for the way your mind works. Don't shrink your thoughts to make others comfortable. Don't pretend the shallow end is enough for you. You were built to dive deep. And the world needs people who aren't afraid of the darkness at the bottom. Because that's where the truth lives. That's where the meaning lives. That's where you live. If this resonated with you, I need you to do something. Don't just scroll past this. Share it with another deep thinker. They need to know they're not alone. Drop a comment and tell me, what's the deepest thought you've had this week? Let's create a space where depth isn't where it's welcomed. And if you want more content that actually makes you think, hit that subscribe button. Because we're just getting started. You're not overthinking. You're just thinking deeply in a world that's forgotten how. And that makes you rare. That makes you valuable. That makes you exactly what we need.